So this is what happens when you get caught in Mexico. How did they even find me in the first place? I was coming back from a concert in a bus stop at a toll booth. Some guy came in asking for ID. I showed him my California ID, but I didn't have my passport. Next thing I knew, I was in a van. I got to the immigration office. They patted me down, took away all my belongings. They looked me up and they saw that I overstayed my 180-day tourist visa. Long story short, they didn't let me leave the immigration office until I bought my ticket to go back to the USA, which is crazy because I already have my dual citizenship in process, but it's not complete yet. That could be why it didn't show up in the system. The closest flight I could get had multiple stops. Before I went to LA, I stopped at Monterrey. I thought it was gonna be a smooth process going back to the United States, but then this happened. I didn't get my little paper stamp that they give you when you enter the country, so I ended up missing my flight. And anyone that overstays their 180 days, you have to pay a fee of 717 pesos, which is $35. But since I'm being kicked out of the country, I didn't have to pay that Anyways, they got me another multiple stop flight. So it took me 2 more flights before I got back to the United States. Yes. And once I saw the Edgar cuts and the LA outfit, I landed back to the motherland.
What pisses y'all off about Americans?
Everything. I don't like Americans, I'm sorry.
Some mannerisms.
The craziest thing is no one hates Americans more than Canadians. Why do y'all hate your neighbors so much?
They're rude.
Yeah, I feel like rudeness.
It's wild to me because I feel like Canadians act very similar to Americans, no?
No, we're nice people.
You're nicer than Americans.
Yeah. Personally, the politics, they're a whack country that way.
Damn. So you couldn't live in the U.S.?
I would not want to.
If I lived in the U.S., it'd be like East Coast, New York.
Maryland?
Maybe. Just
Not
not
where you're from?
No, I'm British.
Oh, you're British.
Not this. That's the one thing, not the South.
Why not the South?
We're Republicans.
Mexicans deporting Americans is the funniest thing I've learned this year so far. Apparently, Mexican authorities are deporting Americans who have colonized along the beaches and nicer areas of Mexico who do not have the proper documentation. So yes, they've been deporting them back to the States. And you know, it's ironic because Americans are like, oh, pack up your bags, you gotta go home or whatever. And well, the Americans who have thought to exhaust Mexican resources and go live the cheap life, right? In nice areas, well, pack up your bags and let's wrap it up.
If you're looking for some good news right now, a lot of MAGA supporters are having their wives deported. If you don't know, there's a pretty common trend among some MAGA men that they marry women from other countries. You might have heard the term passport bro. Could be country in Europe or Asia, but overall they are getting wives from other countries because American women don't like them. I've heard of multiple reports, specifically in Fresno, California, which is a pretty conservative agricultural town where I happen to have been born, that people there are being deported. One of these couples, the wife, is from France, and her 87-year-old mother is living here as well. They're both being deported despite the red MAGA hats they wear outside every single day. This has been happening a lot in California, Texas, and Florida among MAGA couples. And of course, they never thought that it was going to happen to them because they only thought it would happen to black and brown immigrants. But yes, they are actively being taken out of the country, sobbing with their red MAGA hats on. And that's the thing about this administration. They do not give a fuck about tearing families apart, even people that have been good citizens. And I do really feel for the poor grandmother who's almost 90 years old that's going to have to start a new life. But at least some of these people are learning what happens when you vote for an authoritarian because they do not care about you individually, even if you're white.
Breaking news from an article that just came out today. American doctors applying to Canada to work there has risen 750% just in the last few months. One doctor that was born and raised here and went to medical school here said he's really sorry for leaving his American patients, but he's already packed up his family and moved to Canada. He said he is afraid for what's going on with our American healthcare. Another physician was quoted as saying, physicians are supposed to be kind when we're taking care of our patients. These patients are at their weakest and most vulnerable. Instead, the healthcare system is devolving, that we can't take care of these patients with our hearts. The statistics in this article said over 615 doctors have applied to go work in Canada. At this same time last year, it was only 70. Other physicians were quoted as saying, I can't even take care of patients like I used to. This country isn't what it used to be. And they have stated they're embarrassed to be called Americans. Yes, Canada is a socialized healthcare system, but these doctors that were interviewed in this article said they're not concerned about the drop in income. They're more concerned about the devolving healthcare system in the US. Their driving force have been the severe cuts to Medicaid that probably will go through, placing people in leadership positions, and they quoted RFK Jr., who even states himself, you shouldn't take medical advice from me. And the way the budget for healthcare is being rearranged. They're diverting dollars away from the pandemic preparedness, as well as multiple other things we've seen in the news. A physician that moved her family in 2017 from America to Canada said now she can take care of her patients without feeling like she's burdening them with medical debt, and that she feels she can take care of them better. She has less paperwork. It's less being a non-for-profit up there in Canada. She doesn't feel the pressure to serve so many patients in an hour, like every 5 to 6 minutes. They're scheduled here in the US, she said, and Canada operates in a really different pace, allowing her time to truly care for her patients. I just thought this was really interesting data and information. I'm really afraid for the healthcare system, as you guys have heard me on many of my videos that I've recorded, but this is a new turn that I hadn't expected, that American physicians would give up their medical licenses here in America and go work where they're not under the pressure that they are here. If you like this content, please follow, share, click the link in my bio for your free patient safety guide, and check out my book, Surviving Your Hospital Stay. Thanks for following, and I'll see you on the next one.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel once more. Today we are talking about something that's getting a lot of attention around the world. For many years, Americans have traveled, worked, retired, and lived in different countries. But now, many people say the way Americans are being treated overseas is starting to change. Some travelers say they are facing more questions at the border. Others say local people are becoming less welcome because of Americans' political image. At the same time, debates over immigration, deportation, and government policies inside the United States are creating stronger reaction across the world. In today's video, we'll look what's happening, why countries are changing their attitude towards Americans, and what this could mean for the future. Stay till the end because some of the facts and stories may surprise you. Remember to watch till the end, and I'll be back with more comments.
AKA illegal immigrants. This comes after the president of Mexico states that he is tired of Americans gentrifying cities in Mexico. In the past 3 weeks, we have seen different events where Americans try to colonize beaches, public areas, and even salsa. While a lot of these Americans have moved to Mexico for a better life, they moved there because they cannot afford to live here in the United States. So move to Mexico so they can afford a lifestyle there, but locals have raised their prices because Americans are paying in dollars while locals that are still shopping have to pay in pesos and now have to pay the equivalent of the dollar. And instead of these people moving to Mexico and bettering the economy, they're making it horrible for the people that live there, you know, the natives. And if you already did not know, the amount of Mexicans migrating to the United States has slowed down by the 100,000 since 2019. The amount of Mexicans living in the United States leaving willingly back to Mexico has increased drastically. And while Mexicans are moving back to Mexico, a lot of Americans have been moving to Mexico for a better life. But my, how the tables have turned. What are your thoughts?
I asked, will the rest of the world ever forgive us for electing someone like Donald Trump? Japan. Not a chance. Trump is just the symptom. From now on, any long-term deal with the United States needs a moron premium in case you elect someone even worse in the future. Netherlands. It's not just Trump. There are 75 million of him that can't be trusted. It will take generations if it is ever restored. France. It's not so much just the election, it's everything that wasn't done to stop him. The United States is lawless. Owie. Remember that the question was, would the world forgive us? Great Britain says, sure, as quick as the rest of the world forgave Germany in 1941. France. U.S. today reminds one of the crumbling empires before the world wars. Arrogant, deaf to the world's anger, convinced of their own invincibility. History doesn't lie. Empires fall, and it's never the outsiders who bring them down first. It's the rot inside. America should stop blaming everyone else and start taking a long, hard look in the mirror.
I thank Donald Trump for the boycott that we're currently receiving in the United States from Canadians. I know most of you may not be feeling this or may not see it yet, completely unaware because you don't see it in your daily life. But just let me tell you this. I had a couple of riders this week, both from Toronto. Both are coming down to see family. One had a newborn baby in the family, and the trip had been scheduled for a while. And the other had a sick family member that they needed to come see. And they both told me basically these stories. Number one, that when they went to the airport, that the U.S. Customs, and for Canada, you get on the U.S. Customs and in Canada, that there was like nobody in line. And that both planes were like half full as opposed to being completely full. And usually there's a 2-hour wait or more that they told me. They also told me that because of Donald Trump, and because of his tariffs with Canada and the way that they have been treated by Trump, they are boycotting every single product in Canada that is made in the United States. You can go to the grocery stores in Canada and there would be for the U.S. products, for example, Lay's potato chips and all the chips and all the stuff from the U.S. completely full. Not a one, they're on sale. She said they're on sales price for $2.97. Nobody's touching it. The Canadian chips, the Canadian food, all the Canadian right beside it, cleaned out. Shelves are cleaned out. Same thing with soup. American soup, stock full. Canadian soup, cleaned out. Coca-Cola, Pepsi, not touching a single drop from the United States. Everything from Canada, they're buying. And that the Canadians also are canceling their trips to the United States. I see this on a couple of other videos I've posted. I've had several 100,000 responses, and same thing. They're canceling. You read the news and listen to the news in Canada, they're canceling everything. I've been asked to be on a radio talk show in Vancouver, Canada to discuss all of this, and they are angry and upset with Donald Trump in the United States, and the rest of us are going to pay for it. So, same thing with hotels, same thing with those that are in high tourist destinations from Canada, Florida, in particular, South Florida, Orlando, other parts of the U.S., you all are going to start to feel it. If you work for these companies that make these products that are sold in Canada, they're not going to be moving. So they're going to start not needing you to work as many hours. Over time, it takes time for all this to work back through, where you're not going to be needed as much because the Canadians are buying nothing made from the United States. I had one of my followers on here tell me that he bought $400 worth of food at the grocery store and bought only one item that was made in the United States because he could not find there was a Canadian product to change whatever he needed to change, whatever it was. And that was the only reason he bought that one. They're not buying, and we will feel it. Thank you, Donald Trump. The American people will pay for your decisions on tariffs and the way you treat our friends. Same thing in Europe, everybody's angry, but this is a specific situation with Canada that I can speak to, that I also have been talking to, that I've got thousands and thousands of people that have commented on my post here on TikTok and on other social media, and they're not buying, and they are not buying. They're not buying until Donald Trump is out of the office. When he and J.D. Vance are gone, they'll buy American products again, but not until. There you have it. Love to hear from my Democrats, my MAGAs, my crazies, my cuckoos, and my burned out light bulbs. If you have any other experiences with the Canadians, or any of my Canadians want to pipe in and fill the rest of Americans, ears full, because, they aren't particularly, I taught social studies, government, economics, American history, world history for many years, and it's amazing. They're just unaware of anybody else in the rest of the world because they only think me, 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 me. They're going to see how much me, 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 me get them with this orange Jesus. There you have it.
Let me break it down for you very simply. I'm sorry that you don't understand this. I was born and raised in Hawaii. I am part Native Hawaiian. I get my Native Hawaiian ancestry from my mother's side. My family was born and raised in Hawaii. My grandfathers on both sides of my family were born in Hawaii before it was a state, which means it was the territory of Hawaii, which means before that, it was its own country. My family has lived in Hawaii longer it has been a state. I do not live in America. America lives in Hawaii, and it hasn't gone home. To put it in a simpler example, that's like you coming to my house, claiming it's yours, taking everything that's mine, putting it in the bathroom, and making me live in the bathroom. And then you tell me if I don't like it, I can live somewhere else. Bitch, this was my home first.
This is so wild. I literally had to walk out of dinner to tell you guys about this. You all know I had a video that went a little crazy recently, why Europeans hate Americans. So let's do it again. Why Europeans hate Americans part 2. We're literally, I'm still sitting at this bougie, fancy, amazing restaurant in Paris. First things first, interesting to note, about half the place is English-speaking Americans, which I do think is a double-edged sword for these Parisians because they want the money, you know, but it comes with a lot of what I'm about to tell you guys about. So we're sitting there, and next to us is 2 separate tables of 2, a young couple and a couple of girls, and they are fucking yapping. I don't know what part of Long Island they're from, but it was pretty obvious where they were from. And they were talking about what color Porsche they had and what color purple that Kylie Jenner had, and you know, God bless their dad for being able to get them a Porsche in their early 20s, but the shit was real annoying. You know the type. So next to us, at the table next to us, is an older couple. This is where things get interesting. This older couple is from Michigan, Grosse Pointe, Michigan, and they don't play this shit. And so this woman, an older woman, had a look of disgust. I mean, she was pissed. And finally she looked over us, she goes, "Are these girls annoying you?" And you know, my polite girlfriend's like, "Oh no, you know, we understand, you know, they're a little distasteful." And this woman was like, "They're so vain." And this is what I gotta break down for you, especially for the European folks that are following along. Not all Americans like all Americans. And there is, just like France or Spain or any other European country, any other country in the world, there's different classes of people, there's different regions of people, there's different cultures. Midwestern folk do not necessarily always understand or fully appreciate East Coast folk. East Coast folk, for certain parts for sure, they usually just don't give a fuck. And it's very loud and it's very obtrusive. And I know some, well, you're yapping on a street. I specifically went to a quiet part so I go yap on the street by myself and not piss anyone off. These folk are in the restaurant yapping away, and it's annoying. And like I was saying, the reason that Europeans hate Americans is the same reason that a lot of Americans hate Americans. These people are annoying. They don't shut the fuck up, and they make us look bad. Yes, I am talking on the internet. I'm fully aware of that. But I went out of my way to go somewhere where I wasn't bothering anyone. I'm not doing this in a restaurant. That would be fucking annoying. And these people, I don't know if it's the Gen Z thing, it's the cultural thing, it's being a pampered little brat from Long Island, but they are yapping away and they're pissing off the locals, and they're pissing off the Americans that are also there on vacation. So again, go crazy in the comments. Let me know your guys' thoughts. But I just thought this was an amazing follow-up observation, literally experiencing it in real time. So much what we spoke about in the last video.
So guys, for decades, the United States has been seen as one of the world's most powerful countries. Millions of people wanted to visit America, study there, or build better life there. At the same time, many Americans choose to retire or work in countries like Mexico, Canada, Portugal, and Thailand. But today, many people believe the relationship between America and the rest of the world is becoming more complicated. One of the biggest reasons is immigration. In recent years, immigration has become one of the most talked about political issue in the United States. Leaders have promised tougher border security and stronger immigration enforcement. Supporters believe these policies protect jobs and nation security, while critics urge they can separate families and create fear among immigrant communities. Interestingly, some Americans living overseas have found themselves dealing with immigration rules in other countries. There have been stories of Americans being asked to leave because they stay longer than their visas allowed. Just like every country expects visitors to follow its immigration laws, Americans living abroad are expected to do the same. This has led many people online to point out the irony that some individuals who supported stricter immigration enforcement in United States later faced immigration problems themselves while living in another country. Whether people agree or disagree politically, one lesson is clear: immigration laws apply to everyone. Another issue discussed in the recent month is the economic effect of removing larger numbers of immigration workers. Many industries in America depend heavily on immigration labor. Farm workers help produce food. Construction workers help produce homes and businesses. Healthcare workers for patients in hospital and nursing homes. If these industries suddenly lose large number of workers, business may struggle to fill those jobs. That can lead to labor shortage, slower production, and higher prices for consumers. Economists often explain that immigration is a complex issue. Strong border security and a healthy economy both matters, and finding the right balance is not always easy. Another topic receiving attention is how America is viewed internationally. Sorry. Some countries people have organized campaigns encouraging shoppers to buy local products instead American ones. Others says political disagreement have made some travelers feel welcome than before. It is important to remember that these opinions do not represent everyone. Millions of people around the world continue welcome America visitors warmly. However, public opinion can change depending on events and political decisions. Another concern is growing number of skilled professionals considering careers outside the United States. Some reporters suggest that more American doctors are exploring opportunity in Canada and other countries. There are many reasons for this. Some are looking for different healthcare system, others want a better work-life balance. Some are concerned about political uncertainty. If a large numbers of highly trained professionals leave, experts often describe it is a brain drain. This can make it harder to fill important jobs at home. Healthcare is one example where experienced doctors and nurses are already in high demand. The conversation also goes beyond politics. Some communities in popular tourist destinations have raised concern about rising housing prices and the increase of cost of living. When a larger number of foreigners move into an area, local residents sometimes worry that rent and property prices will increase faster than local income. These concerns are not limited to Americans. Similar debates happen in many countries with visitors from different parts of the world. Respecting local customs, following local laws, and supporting local communities can help reduce this tension. And many experienced travelers say the best way to build good relationship is through kindness and respect. Learning a few words of the local language, respecting tradition, and treating people politely can leave a positive impression whenever you go. At the same time, political leaders also play an important role. The way government communicate with other countries can affect tourist trade, investment, and international friendship. Strong partnerships often take years to build but can be damaged quickly during periods of political conflict. That is why many experts encourage respectful dialogue instead of the division. No matter where someone stands politically, most people want safe safe communities, strong economics, and opportunities for future generations. The world today is more connected than ever before. Events happen in one country can quickly influence opinion across the globe. Whether discussing immigration, international travel, healthcare, or diplomacy, these conversations affect millions of people. As citizens and travelers, everyone has a responsibility to respect the law of countries they visit and to treat others with dignity. The choice made by government and by individual can shape how countries see each other for years to come. So I love to hear from you. What do you think? Are changing political policies affecting how Americans are viewing around the world? Do you think these changes are temporary, or could they have long-term effect? Remember to share your thoughts on the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this discussion, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, share to the channel, and turn on the notification so that you can never miss out on next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.